Well, thanks for tuning in, guys, to the Through the Bible series here at Calvary St. Joe. I'm Chuck Rhein, and we're in the book of James today. Remember years ago, among my friends, posing the question, what's your favorite book of the Bible? Unanimously, the 5 chapters of the book of James. It's called the Proverbs of the New Testament. I love James. It just seems like, regardless of the history, of the background, he is so practical, and so many people can relate to just the need that we have to live as James writes. I just think it's a great book. I'm drawn to the first chapter, probably because of living life. I find in verse 12 that word blessed or happy or joyful is the man or woman who endures temptation. For when he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him. Now, to me, James is very much represents real life. I find oftentimes that I'm repelled by fake Christianity. First of all, the plank that's in my own eye. When I'm talking to somebody and I'm telling him on the outside with a smile that things are fine, but on the inside I know that I've got a lot of work, a lot of things that I need to change. So look at this contradiction in that there's a blessedness for endurance, and it's under temptation. We know that for us, temptation falls under the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life in 1 John. We know that we've got the world, the flesh, and the devil to contend with. But this is talking about endurance. And Paul, in contrast to James, uses analogies of a marathon, of a long race, which I believe is what the Christian life is all about. And so how do we endure? I think each day, our daily bread, in a sense, isn't physical, but it's spiritual food. And so maybe Jacob, or maybe my wife Amber, or maybe my friend Mark shares with me how at a certain moment in their week, they endured temptation. If I take the time to listen, if I take the time to actually pray, when somebody's sharing something with me, maybe a tool that they use, for example, what I find then is the last part of this verse. And we tend to focus on the first part. We tend to talk about the person who endures temptation, but there's a point when we are going to be approved. There's going to be a point where God is going to say, well done. But even before then, that crown of life comes to somebody that loves God. And when I love God, I'm going to hate the thing that keeps me from God. The more I love God, the more I read his word, the more I want what God wants, then I'm going to find out that what used to tempt me isn't on the table. I'm sure there'll be plenty of other temptations, but I don't think that God is up there in heaven berating us. James writes in here that if we go to God in faith and we ask him sincerely, he's not going to leave us hanging. He's got a word for our worry. He's got a admonition for the things that we can't admit to people in public. And he's got really hope as an anchor for the soul. So check out James. You can read it in one setting. It's 5 chapters, and it's oh so good. And so we'll see you next time when you tune in. Thanks.